Legos then. So,
Yes.
interesting stuff as well because have the guys got it in this dock yet? The Mega Soul Ash?
No, Mega Soul Ash is not here yet, but
We don't know what that is.
that happened.
Yeah.
They put that in the game. Can I maybe type this without fingers falling apart? Mega Soul Ash, here we go.
Yeah, so this was a weird one that WoW had found where there's just a currency called Mega Soul Ash.
Soul Ash, but Mega. There you go.
With a comment or the description like that, it's obviously dev speak, so it's really hard to know what's going on. But what is interesting is if you hop back to the graph that Dakor put in, where basically new stuff for the next ranks. And this is overall really quite interesting because it basically means they're removing Soul Ash from the further progression. Yeah. That's going to mean that Soul Ash will just be a acquisition and initial upgrade currency, which then, you start to think, well, they just took Soul Ash off, it doesn't have a cap anymore, right? So what's going to happen? I mean, I would consider it to be a failure if we were still expecting people to do I guess it's layer 8 now, layer 12 eventually, Torghast runs of the regular wings to get their Soul Ash. I think that would be disappointing because I think that is not the way that the vast majority of people would actually like to engage in Torghast. But it is certainly interesting that Soul Ash is not going to be something we'll need to keep on getting. I mean, there is one problem that would have, I think a very obvious problem that could have arose, where, should we screen share, by the way?
Yeah, sure, go for it.
Or just so people see the table.
Yep.
So there's a problem that I think, could have happened where if you get new item levels and those have got to be upgraded with Soul Ash, then, it's getting exponentially more expensive. You're having to do a crazy amount of Torghast just to keep your things upgraded, and then that means you can't do the acquisition, which I guess would be an issue whenever Blizzard eventually decide to let us wear 2 Legos at once. So
I'm still not completely sold on that being a guarantee at this point in time, just because this is like an old thought I had from back when Shadowlands launched, but I remember looking at some of the legendaries and going, okay, I see what you've done with like the slots to try and keep people from having completely busted combinations, but I can still just see a couple that might be floating about that will. So I think it'll take some changes for that to happen, but I mean everything in the design speaks to them wanting to do that. So it's almost certainly guaranteed, but I definitely feel that'll be a sort of the players are unchained, go have fun, go nuts, kind of in the 7.3 and 8.3 way.
Yeah,
possibly, but that's more or less just a thought. I think it's really weird, like especially because they're introducing new legendaries. That's the thing that's kind of weirding me out a little bit, and I'm hoping Mega Soul Ash is just. We haven't found a cool name for the catch-up that we're going to give you for doing Torghast with the new scoring system and stuff, but they're definitely introducing new legendaries, because I know the DKs on the PTR have all 4 new ones, which are a new one per Covenant ability, and the Druids have one of them, and I think another maybe data mined or hinted at. So I think they are intending a lot of new legendaries for people to actually earn. Which means, I guess that's why they removed the cap from Soul Ash, so people could get ahead of the curve.
Ish. That is still then weird because they're kind of asking people to right now farm up loads of Soul Ash, even though we actually don't know what it's going to look like. Basically, and for so much of this PTR, Blizzard, where the fuck is your explainer post?
Please.
It was nice seeing the PTR patch notes that contained, information of the class balance. Yeah, that was great.
That was good.
But it's just like Korthia got like 4 bullet points. None of them were explaining intent. It's that thing where we would all love to help them with design stuff, and give opinions in this, and it's really hard to do that when we don't actually know what their intent is.
Yeah, it's weird because I think Muffin is kind of maybe, no, I don't say blew the lid on it or anything, but I was concerned that like I had no idea if next week Korthia is going to unlock as in the natural progression, so we get to test the natural progression week after week, see what happens. I was just like, is this it? Do we have to wait for another build? But him saying on Twitter about the unlock, I think he did say next week. Say next week, so it is going to progress that way, but just knowing what we're supposed to look at
Yeah,
would be really helpful, because it's like if we skipped out on dailies because we didn't think it was going to be important, then we're behind the rep curve for Death's Advance. So then we don't know what that curve feels like because we weren't told it. That kind of stuff's really.
Yeah, and it leads to a negative first impression of the content, which is an issue. Where it's like you go to Korthia, you do some gameplay, you're like, that's it? Really? What's going on here? Which I guess a lot of people had during patch 7.2. Because, 7.2, that was where the time gating really was happening. I remember a lot of kickback from players at that time. And yeah, it was like, there's not a great initial impression because in a way, people don't actually have the context. They don't have the framing to understand what they're actually experiencing. And then that negatively impacts perceptions. And I think, again, it's just like with all the randomness and the bell curve talk from earlier, that leads to more opportunities for player disappointment than I think Blizzard would want or need. It's a bit tricky. That's what's going on with Legos. It seems like the acquisition will be changed up in some way. We're not particularly sure. I think those vestiges of origins they use, it's like protogen fragments or progenitor fragments or something.
Yeah, because there is the progenitor forge, which is in Korthia, which you unlock with the Archivist quest. You unlock that over time, and I think, as Dakor says here, the regent is available from Korthia daily quests, which I don't know what the source for that is because I haven't seen any.
Same.
I've been doing it, but then I also got bugged out on a quest that I haven't been able to finish, so I'm not sure if there's something holding me back from unlocking the system or anything like that. I'm not sure, but it's definitely, you will want to keep your legendaries going up through engaging with 9.1 specific content. That is definitely the intent.
I think WoW had some article lately that was kind of refuting, or well, not refuting, but it seemed to indicate that was stuff you could get off the auction house. I mean, I'm not 100% sure.
Yeah, I think the fragments were not bind on pickup.
Gotcha.
I think that's what it was. So if you earn them, because this is like with everything sans the Soul Ash, their full intent for this is to be very, very, a step up from the legendary crafting stuff, still heavily involving crafters. Because although not in the linear sense of upgrading the ranks, because it's now an optional reagent that goes on top. So I don't know if that means you have to make rank 4s with this to make them rank 5s or 6s, or if you can make rank 1s with enough of these objects to make them higher. I'm not quite sure how that's going to work, but...
Well, the protogen or the progenian fragments, as they're called,
yes.
They are currently not bound in pickup.
Yes.
So whoever earns them can just sell them, and then crafters can buy them, which... in that case, if those fragments came from the daily quests, I wouldn't mind.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to do the daily quests, well, I can just buy them in the auction house. And if somebody's doing the daily quest, doesn't give a shit about Legos, well, great, they've just found a new way to make money in the AH.
Yeah.
Which is a bit more dynamicism, which I like. It almost goes against something I didn't like about MOP, which was Motes of Harmony being BOP. I thought that the economy was way more interesting when, say your primals are BOE, so then it forms more of an economy. So if there is going to be an economy about this, then yeah, thumbs up. And if it means that players who want to upgrade their Legos don't actually have to grind out Torghast, if they don't want to do that, great. That'll make those people happier, and that's what we want.